In today's video, I wanted to show you how to get some perfectly clean jelly prints. To start, I'm using these paints that I got at Hobby Lobby. Very great deal. These paints are awesome. They're acrylic paints. And I'm just gonna do some fall colors because I'm really in the mood for fall right now. It's hot outside and I could use some cool weather. So I'm gonna make it indoors. Using some oranges, reds here at the top, but then the greens and yellows towards the bottom, but I will mix them a little bit. Right now I'm getting just the first layer, so I'm putting down the color, not trying to blend it all too much because I didn't really want brown, but I did blend them a little bit. So for this first layer here, as I'm kind of building it up, I want to go a little bit thin. This layer I'm going to let dry, but first I'm going to use these foam die cuts. I have a pumpkin and then I've got a bunch of different leaves, and they're just going to make a little bit of a texture or design in this green, yellow, and orange and red background. So as I'm pressing these in, I'm trying not to touch the jelly plate, but I was getting my fingerprints on there a little bit too, but it doesn't really matter. I couldn't really tell in the end. So I'm putting an off-white, a gold, and a light gray or a warm gray to pull up this print. So for this particular print, I'm kind of showing you what didn't work so great for me. I have 3 different tips I'm going to share with how to get a really good pull, but this one I didn't really get the best pull from, and I'll show you why. First, you want to have a really thin layer. Second, you want to make sure when you're pressing it down, you're pressing down very evenly over the whole surface. And third, you let it dry. So I did not let this one dry, and you could see there was a little bit left behind on the plate, but this does help with the grungy feel. I thought it turned out cool. So for this next one, I want to try to really get a clean plate. So I'm doing a little bit of black and blue to first start my top layer. It's going to be my textured layer, and just blending those in. And again, I want a really light layer for this, and I am going to let this layer dry after I pull the texture. Texture I'm using is some burlap, and I'm really pressing in to pull up a lot of that ink. I'm going to be putting ink back over this, so I really want to just have a little bit of a design. This is just copy paper. I'm testing to see if the paint was dry before I start the next layer, and it was. So now I have some purple, green, and orange. Getting in the Halloween mood now, fall and Halloween. So for this, I'm just gonna, same thing, I'm not gonna blend them all heavily, blend them a little bit, but I wanted each color to kind of show through without creating a muddy brown color. The purple was a very bright purple compared to the green and the yellow. So for this, I am going with a thin layer. So I went back over it just to make sure it was a thin layer. Now I'm using a 110 pound cardstock, white cardstock on top. And now I'm applying even pressure all around the surface of it. I'm making sure to leave this and let it dry. 5 minutes is key. Came back to it, and then I pulled up the print. I pulled it up nice and slow to make sure I was going to get all the paint. And it really did turn out pretty neat with the Halloween colors and the black burlap texture on top. I really like how this turned out. And I cleaned my plate perfectly, like a brand new plate. So I want to do another one where I use the same technique again. I'm going to use this purple, dark purple as my base layer and make it a fairly thin layer on top first. For the texture of this one, I'm just crumpling up some copy paper. And then when I'm done crumpling it, I will straighten it back out. I'm actually really folding in those edges and creases to make a really cool texture. Then I lay it on top and don't press too hard because I wanted to keep some of that texture in there. Now I wanted a little more texture, so I added this bubble wrap that I had, the small bubbles. And then one last thing I added was a little bit of paper towel texture. I think paper towel texture looks so cool, like comic book dots or something. Now I'm doing some different tones of orange on the back of this purple. And this is what I'm going to use to pull up the print. So I'm blending those. I'm going to make sure it's, again, a nice thin layer. And then when I put my piece of paper on, this is the same 110-pound cardstock. I'm going to rub it in really well. Press all along the edges, all inside the middle, and I'm going to let it dry for 5 minutes. And now I'm ready to see if I got another clean print. Again, I'm pulling it up slowly. And you can see all the paint came off on this other print as well. So those are my 3 steps to get some perfectly clean Gelli Plate prints using acrylic paint. Here are the 3 finished prints that we made today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.